In today's video, we are going to bring you a recap of a romantic and comedy Korean show called Crash Landing on You. The story revolves around Yoon Seri, who is a successful South Korean businesswoman and adherents to her family's corporation. One day she was paragliding, but she gets caught in the storm winds and accidentally lands in North Korea. There she meets Captain Ri Jong-hyuk, who is a North Korean army officer. He decides to help her by hiding her in his house. Gradually, she gets used to North Korean culture, makes new friends along the way, even falls in love with Captain Ri. But when she tries to escape back to her country, she faces multiple obstacles and challenges. Siri heads out to have dinner with her family, where her father offers her to take over his business because he thinks that only she is capable of handling it among her siblings. She accepts the offer, much to her brother's annoyance, and says that she'll be making some changes. The next day, she was paragliding because it is one of her passions. However, things didn't go as planned, and suddenly a tornado forms, causing her to spin out of control. Moments later, she finds herself hanging on a tree. She starts calling for help and gets the attention of an army officer named Captain Rai. He quickly comes to assist her. In the meantime, she unbuckles herself and crash lands on him. As fate would have it, she assumes that he is the one who trespassed, but he informs her that she is North Korea and must be taken in for investigation. She refuses and manages to flee. Captain Rai tells his soldiers to inform the troops about a South Korean woman who has accidentally crossed the border. Meanwhile, the 6th Company locates her and starts to pursue her. She escapes unharmed once again and begins looking for an exit to South Korea. After walking for miles, she comes across a village and feels relieved because she believes that she has returned home. However, she soon realizes that she is wrong as she is still in North Korea. Just then, Captain Ri appears and takes her somewhere safe. Back in Seoul, Siri's family learns that she is missing, which obviously pleases her brothers and their wives. Captain Ri takes Siri to his house in order to save her from the army. The following day, she starts to realize just how different North Korea is from her country, as South Korea is way too advanced. Both countries have totally different lifestyles and customs. Captain Ri's team arrives at his house and meets Siri. Now that they have learned about her, they are ready to get her back to her homeland. Captain Ri gives her some orders to follow, including staying in the house and not talking to anyone. After that, he leaves for his office. Later that evening, Siri feels overwhelmed as the electricity turns off. She starts to panic, but luckily, Captain comes right in time and brings a candle, which prompts her to start crying as she requested a scented one. Later, she gets a bag of things he got for her, and it turns out that he bought a lot of South Korean products, which makes her very happy. The following day, Captain Ri is informed that Lieutenant Jo is about to do a house inspection. This prompts him to rush back to his house because she doesn't want Siri's existence to be disclosed. In the meantime, Lieutenant Jo arrives at Captain Ri's house and he finds Siri hiding in the cellar. He escorts her outside and points his gun. Just then, our hero Captain Ri appears and questions his action. Captain Ri claims that Siri is his fiancée. The lieutenant then requests to see her resident card, but Captain Ri informs him that she is from South Korea and belongs to Division 11, which means that she is unable to reveal anything about her reason for being there because anything related to Division 11 is kept confidential, as it is a group of spies living in South Korea. The soldiers believe him and they do head inside the house. Later, Captain Ri makes a plan for Siri's departure and decides that she will use a boat to escape. She drives her to the boat, and at the last moment, he decides to accompany her. While they are sailing away, a Coast Guard approaches them. They quickly hide in the hull, but the guards demand to open it. As they do, Captain Ri suddenly kisses Siri and claims to be a couple in order to avoid any trouble. The guards let them go but order them to return to shore. Siri is upset because she is very close to getting back to her homeland, but she requests Captain Ri to try again soon. However, it is quite impossible right now because the Coast Guard will be on high alert. The next day, Captain Ri wakes up and finds a goodbye note from Siri. She is about to jump off the cliff with her paraglider in order to escape. She even tries to use her walkie-talkie. Unfortunately, the North Korean army is alerted, and they quickly make their way to check the origin of the signal. In the meantime, Captain Ri appears and tells her that she'll be killed if the army finds her. He soon realizes that the troops aren't far away, so the duo is forced to jump, and they end up back home again. Gradually, Siri starts to interact with the villagers and gets used to their lifestyle. Later, a girl named Seodan makes her way to the capital of North Korea, and it turns out that she is Captain Ri's real fiancée. Eventually, the duo comes across Seodan, who is standing outside Captain Ri's house. She is absolutely shocked to see Siri with him and demands to know who she is. However, he handles the situation and tells her that Siri is just his colleague working with him on a mission. Soon after, Captain Ri drives Seodan to her house and ends up having dinner with her family. The next day, he informs Siri that he has another plan to send her back. This time, he is going to make her part of the national track team, which takes part in international competition. That way, she'll be able to fly to Europe. Unfortunately, Captain Ri's enemy, Cho, learns about Captain Ri's plan with the help of a signal logger officer, and he is surely going to cause many troubles for the duo. Anyways, now Sari needs to change her appearance so that she won't look suspicious. For that, she heads to the market with her new friends and buys some clothes for herself. The next day, she and Captain Ri board the train and head to the capital. But the train stopped due to some technical issues, and it will take at least 10 hours before the train departs again. Gradually, the night falls, and the two spend some quality time together. At the end, Sari falls asleep and Captain Ri puts her head on his shoulder, and we get to see a lovely moment. After arriving in the capital, Sari comes across a guy named Sungjum whom Sari was previously meant to marry. He fled to North Korea after stealing money from Sari's brother, and now he is being blackmailed by him. So he needs to hide himself, and North Korea is the best place for him. He takes Sari aside, which prompts jealous Captain Ri to follow them. After having a brief chat with Captain Ri and Sari, Sung quickly walks away because he is being chased by someone on Sari's brother's orders. Later, Sung tells Si Hyun that his sister is still alive, and he even tries to make a deal by offering him half of his money in return for Sari's location. Whereas one of Soo-dan's friends informs her that Sari and Captain are together. This prompts her to come and confront her fiance. She takes him to her parents, and they decide the date of their marriage. Back in Seoul, Si Hyun takes advantage of Sari's absence and decides to keep her in North Korea forever so that she won't be a trouble for him anymore. Even worse, Cho's assigned to make her stay. It is finally the day when Sari has to leave. However, they are followed by an armored truck. A chase between the two gets underway, and just as they're about to crash into each other, Captain Ri arrives and starts shooting at the truck. He manages to save Sari, but unfortunately, one of the drivers shoots him in the back and his subordinate in the leg. Sari refuses to go to the airport. Rather, she drives the two of them to the hospital. She is absolutely terrified by the thought that she might lose Captain Ri. After reaching the hospital, she decides to offer her blood to Captain Ri and eventually realizes she has feelings for him. The next day, Cho confronts Captain Ri about the weapons he used to shoot. But before he can arrest him, Captain Ri's father appears and he is able to stop him because he is a general political bureau director. Just then, Soo-dan and her mother appeared after knowing about the incident. Later, Soo-dun confronts him about Sari and he finally decides to speak the truth. He tells her that he has feelings for Sari, so he can't marry Soo-dan. In the meantime, Sung takes Sari to her mansion and lies to her that he has spoken to her family and tells her that they don't want her to do anything reckless to get back. However, in South Korea, her family gathers up for the shareholders' meeting, and since Sari has been missing for a month now, they register her as dead. Si Hyun wins the vote for the new CEO, and now he'll be the one taking over the company. Back in North Korea, Captain Ri starts to panic as Sari is not around. He decides to leave the hospital, but he comes across Soo-dan, who questions him about Sari's identity. He is left with no choice and is forced to reveal the truth. Captain Ri decides to track down Sari's location, but he's unable to do so and returns to the hospital hopelessly. The next day, he gets a call from Sung, who informs him to stop looking for her as she is with him. His soldiers speculate that he might be his boyfriend. This angers Captain Ri, and he raises his voice, insisting that he is not her boyfriend. Back in the villa, Sung tells Sari that he can help her to get back to South Korea. For that, he will propose their fake marriage to get her a new passport. During dinner, he proposes to Sari, as he wants to do things right, but just then, Captain Ri shows up at the villa and begins beating up the guards. Sari sees him through the window and she attempts to open the door, but Sung stops her and explains that if Captain Ri manages to send her back home, his safety won't be guaranteed as Soo-dan wants to expose her. She steps outside and informs Captain Ri about her plans for marriage. Unwillingly, she tells him that they shouldn't see each other anymore. Captain Ri gets upset and decides to leave, but Sari quickly changes her mind and follows him. Unfortunately, their car is out of gas, so they're forced to seek shelter in a nearby school. On the other hand, Cho informs the military director that Captain Ri is hiding a South Korean woman, and he wants them to be investigated. The director agrees and asks him to bring the woman, which causes Cho to start his search for the duo. Back in South Korea, things are going to get interesting as Sari's father gets to know that his daughter is alive and is in North Korea. Sari and Captain Ri head back to the village, and moments later, Captain Ri gets a phone call from Sari, and it turns out that she's actually being taken away by two men who are holding her at gunpoint and forcing her to tell him to be happy and forget all the time they spent together. He insists on tracking her down, but she says goodbye and tells him that she loves him. Just as she hangs up the phone, a gunshot breaks the silence. And with that, our recap comes to an end. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.